Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Clipping Point.
That's our theme
My
song.
name is Captain Ben, and joining me I have Tim Murphy, Noel Garcia, Paul Murphy. Hey, welcome. And our special guest for tonight is the one and only Officer Dan. How you doing, sir?
I am fantastic. Thank you.
Yes.
So,
For all three people that are watching.
Get used to it. That's our life.
all right. So, where do we begin? Obviously, you are no stranger to infamy, I guess you can say. But let's go back to a time where you were just a young, scrappy kid, just looking to get by. And let's just, I guess, start off with what got you into drifting?
Oh, man. And quick shout out, I have a whole series that goes over this called Scotch and Beer, where I go over it in like 37 hours of your life. Anyway, in 2006, the very end of 2006, there was a drift versus slip day, or a grip versus slip day at our local track. And I had an STI, and I thought I was a hot boy road racer. And I was like, who are these idiots on the track doing stupid stuff? They're obviously ruining it. My exact words. Like, I don't want to share the track with these idiots. Like, that's embarrassing. Why are we even out here? And anyway, a bunch of guys had come down from Colorado. It was a Pro-Am feeder series called the New Mexico Drift Series, run by Gary Lang. And basically, you did this whole season for a shot at getting your license in Laughlin, Nevada. So you had to go through this whole series just to get a shot to go to another event.
Oh, jeez.
To maybe get top 3 and get a license. That's how it used to be, and it was way more brutal than it is now. Mm-hmm. And so all these guys from Colorado were down, and I ended up talking to a couple of them, waiting in line on the skid pad because that's where they had us all lined up, and they were like, "You should come for a ride." So I parked the car and I got in his, and he took me for a ride, and I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know what just happened to my body. But I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I literally just sold everything I owned, and I bought a 240, I bought a truck, I bought a trailer. And I went head first off the deep end.
All in.
Sold the STI, sold every other car that I had, like, and then that became my life. Those dudes would come down and they'd stay with me. We'd have these big barbecues, and I sucked my whole first season. I don't think I drifted once. I didn't even have a welded diff. Like,
oh wow!
Yeah.
But it brought back like those old school BMX vibes that I had felt growing up, and now that I'm too old and broken to actually do. It brought all of those feelings like came rushing back, and I was hooked from that moment on. So that's how I got into drifting in 2006.
That was a little while ago, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, feels like yesterday.
It was a good clip. It wasn't like OG, but it was pretty damn close to it.
Yeah,
right. That's right when we came into it. That's when we started County Line and all that. So
yeah, that's when in our little. So I always explain, if you don't know where we are, if just the natural progress of like the sewage, okay, always sinks down to the lowest point, right? So if you look at Florida, there's like this little. We're
that little sack of sewage.
Yeah, all all the shit kind of flows down. So
I can dig it.
So, but anyway, we're digging too. But we're so basically that's when we all started too.
Yeah, we started a drift event at
it was a touch and go airport.
Yeah.
Like you just practice your touch and go?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Actually, really what it was probably used for like the drops to, the drug cartel and stuff. Is what I think it was really
that makes
used
a
for.
little more sense being Florida. Okay.
But we made it work, so it was fun. But I have a question. So where'd the name Officer Dan? At any one point in your career, were you actually an officer?
Negative. I have only ever been an officer on the internet. Never IRL. Never. I respect them, but I'm just I'm a little too goofy for that to actually be like, oh man, I'm taking that guy seriously right now. No, nobody would ever really say that. I pretend that I'm tough and I know what I'm doing, but it's like, no, being a police officer for me. So that officially came to light in 2012. So I'd been running drift events in Albuquerque since 2009. Got in cahoots with this guy named Jim Guthrie, who was an ex-Indy racer. He had a brief stint in Formula D, crashed at Irwindale, broke his neck, broke his teeth out, broke his collarbones. It was like the worst wreck in FD history. Had to get cut out of his roll cage and air flighted to the hospital. It was a big deal.
Was that the
No, that was an FD RX-7.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bad days.
Motorcycle versus Car Drift Battle 1 came out with Nick Apex and Jim Guthrie driving, and me as the flag girl looking like James Hetfield, all Hesher, as hair down to here. It was awesome. Jim was slated to do Motorcycle versus Car Drift Battle 2. So Jim, it was supposed to be Officer Jim. And Jim crashed at Irwindale with the RX-7 in full cop regalia. Like that was going to be the car that was in the video. And Jim calls me on Sunday from the hospital and he's like, I crashed. I was like, yeah, I know, I saw it. Are you okay? And he's like in his hospital bed, completely messed up, and he's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the video. Can you do it? I already have a Mustang being painted, stickered. They're putting lights on it, they're putting extended lower control arms on it, and we're going to make this video happen regardless. You have to be in Washington in like 4 days.
Oh,
yeah, I'd like to do that. That'd be cool. And so we went up and we went to Washington. We towed my car out there and his, because I hadn't driven it yet and I didn't want to, just in case. So we brought both cars. I did a whole day of testing in my S13 up that Maryhill Loops Road in the video. We went to this racetrack that was kind of down the street in Oregon, and we filmed a bunch of stuff there. Then we got in the Mustang on the road and filmed Motorcycle versus Car Drift Battle 2, where I wasn't supposed to talk, but then they were like, well, we need you to say some stuff. So they just asked me questions, and I gave them really stupid answers. And that little interview was the moment Officer Dan was born. I mean, technically it was when I shaved into the mustache, but when they did that interview, like the character just came out, and the stuff that came out of my mouth, it was great. And now it became all these one-liners that I see on people's cars and stuff, and it's just weird. But yeah, that was a crazy viral video. We were viral before herpes, way back in Internet 1.0. And it was kind of an interesting time having that happen, and it was weird because I wasn't even doing Pro-Am, and now all of a sudden you have this crazy viral video that everybody has seen, and now dudes in AutoZone know who you are. And you're just, that's really weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that?
That's where it came from. It's just a viral idiot on the internet.
So I actually relived those videos today. I was watching them in preparation, and something happened in Drift 2 that was kind of crazy. You flipped your S13 over, and your head was
sure as hell did
out of the car.
Well, how else are you going to flip back over?
Yeah. So, yeah, so that was rough. But I mean, we're glad you're okay, obviously. So
hey, thanks. I survived, probably with a little bit of brain damage, but everything's fine. Yeah, I was driving the Mustang on 295s for 2 days filming. We ran out of tires, and I was giving Ernie, one of the stunt bikers, a ride along, and it was one of those, one more run, and that car was on really slick 245s, which is a huge difference. And so I initiated the same way. I'd initiated into the same turn 500 times and just went flying off of an 8-foot hill.
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was
And then
rough.
head went out the thing and then hit the roll cage on the way back in. I was slightly concussed. I knocked the wind out of Ernie, and I was like, and for some reason, a Russian accent, "You okay, guy?" And he didn't respond, and I was like, "Oh my god, I killed Ernie." I have messed up this day. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm okay. It just knocked the wind out of me." And I was like, "Oh, thank God." But then we had to tow that thing all the way down, and it was a bummer. Man. But the video did well, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah. At the end of the day. I got another question. Trying to like move a little forward. Get like more caught up. The how'd you get it hooked up with the GK Tech? I'm kind of curious.
It's kind of funny because I solicited them for sponsorship before I did Formula D. Mm-hmm. And I had done a review video of the aluminum knuckles that they came out with way back in 2012, which were really cool. The problem is people are really bad at installing things, and they left stuff loose, and then things would snap. So they were really cool product on paper, but when you put them into the hands of people that are not meant to be installing things, there was a little bit of problem.
Well, mechanic
right here.
I had somebody else put those on for me, and I had mine for, I don't know, 5 years. So they last. They do well. Yeah. But I did this really, really funny like review of those as Officer Dan, and that was kind of like, hey, my sponsor me tape, if you will. Like, this is the kind of stuff we can do for you. And that video did pretty well, and he liked it, and he was like, all right. 2014 comes around, we're like 3 weeks away from going to Long Beach, and I have no suspension components on the car whatsoever. Standard operating procedure. Apparently, his warehouse was being held hostage by somebody, and this is only stuff that would happen to
Are you serious?
me in my
serious?
circle. And yeah, somebody was holding his warehouse hostage. One of his ex-employees had basically said, "No, you don't get to keep any of your stuff."
What?
And so when I wrote him and I was like, "Yo, are you gonna send that stuff out? You know, it's kind of getting down to the wire here." Trying to be nice but pushy at the same time. And he was like, "I don't have access to my warehouse. I'm really sorry. I can't send you anything." And I was just like, "Oh no, oh no." So I was like, "I'm sorry, that sucks. I'm gonna have to go deal with some stuff, like putting every suspension component on the car now."
Oh man.
And so he dealt with his stuff. I know that was a really big thing for them, and it sucks when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, that sounds like a horrible thing. God.
Yeah. It was unfortunate, but it got the relationship started in a way. I ended up having to pay full retail for PBM.
Oh jeez.
Like two sets of everything, and you know that's not cheap.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
At all. And so we threw it on the car haphazardly because it didn't get there on time, and we were bolting it up literally the day we were leaving.
Oh my God.
It was unbelievable, and we had all sorts of problems, but it's mostly our fault. So that's how I met Greg, and fast forward to after Formula D, he was like, "Yeah, you know, we sell some stuff in the United States. It's really expensive to ship a set of knuckles. It's like $200 to ship a $400 part. And they're still selling a decent amount." And he was like, "I know you're not doing FD anymore." And I was like,
Oof.
"Too soon, man." But he's Australian, so they don't care.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, do you want to be the U.S. warehouse?" And I was like, "Sure, since I know everything about warehousing." Zero. And yeah, started it out of the garage, and then now we moved into a new place, and we literally just closed like 2 Fridays ago on a new building. So we're actually putting on our big boy pants and moving into a building that isn't my house.
Nice,
Yeah,
congratulations.
nice.
So
wow.
it's been a crazy journey. So now I've been doing it for 6 years, and it's been a one hell of a learning experience. My God.
Yeah, that's
So
the
that's
way.
where my parts came from.
Yeah, you just got a whole bunch of parts. Yeah, you just got a whole bunch of
I
parts.
saw your post.
Yeah.
Much appreciation. Shout out.
I actually had a quick question because you touched on your stint in Formula Drift. I actually went on his website and clicked on a link that said proposal, which had me curious. I was like,
Can we show
okay.
it?
And I'd have to figure that out.
Nah, don't worry
but
about it.
there's no time for that. But it was
It's
a
my old
proposal.
proposal, and I put that up so people could have an idea.
Yeah. Well, the part that actually caught my attention was at the very end where it says season. I think it was a rough estimate of about $75,000. So
Yeah.
would you say that was an accurate number of like how a typical Formula Drift driver at that time would spend on a season?
So I based all of my numbers off Matt Field's proposal for that year.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So that
all right.
was 100% exactly what Matt Field was asking for from his sponsors at that time. Not to call out Matt Field or anything, but he helped me out tremendously because I had no idea what I was doing, and without his guidance, I wouldn't have gotten a damn thing. So, but that's what that was. That was my first attempt at a proposal. So I was like, well, I might as well just put this up here, like, if anybody needs to use it as an example. And I get proposals for GK Tech all the time, and they don't look like that. And that's old. Like, it's just like, theirs are just like some text maybe on a postcard or like MS Paint. That's what I was trying to get at. It's like, if you want to do a proposal, make it at least look somewhat good. It doesn't have to be like super pro, but maybe something like this. So
I'm waiting for the person.
You're right. It was expensive, and it was more than that, by the way.
Oh,
there you go.
I'm waiting for the person to copy and paste it and send it back to you with their name on it.
Oh, sure. Just Photoshop your face onto my face and some of the pictures in your car into my car. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. I'd accept that. Instantly sponsored.
Full sponsor.
Yeah. You hear that, guys? You heard it first. Yeah.
go ahead, Tim.
Oh, man.
No. What else is so? We do watch. Well, at least I do. I watch your Scotch and a Beer. I have some Scotch tape and some Dr. Pepper is about all I got here. But
that works.
Yeah, I know. It depends if you let it ferment, maybe. But so go ahead, tell us a little bit about where the idea of Scotch and Beer. Like, okay, so you're talking about a lot of great stuff. I think my favorite one was Homestead because I was there. Yeah. And we left. It was too hot, and we went to watch a live stream at home because I live right around the corner.
Yeah, as you should have.
Yeah. We're like, this is too hot. I know Asbo pretty well, so I went to talk to Asbo and talked to him for a little bit. And me and my brother and my other friend Rich were there, like, it's just too hot. There's better seats at home. I got a pool.
We went home, watched it on the.
We got some public subs, some subs, and watched everything like that.
That's the way to do it, man. It was absolutely brutal out there, and it was raining, and then the humidity was like 535%. Like it was.
That's
you
actually
did a wise thing there.
Yeah. So you do the Scotch and a Beer. How did that idea come about?
Because I suck at doing like regular content.
Filler.
I'm not a vlogger. If I'm doing something cool, I maybe document it. Like Drift Week's easy to do. Like there's just it's a rolling shit show, and I just put the camera on stuff, and my life just takes that in all sorts of different directions. That's really easy to do. For me to explain that I'm brushing my teeth and, like this is me holding a camera, by the way. This is brushing my teeth, and then I pet my dog. I just can't do that. Like it has to be me doing something. And so I was like, well, how can I do regular content that's kind of entertaining, that can maybe teach some people some lessons about how not to do things? And that's where Scotch and Beer came from. So John from GK Tech is one of the guys that works there. He's a great dude, and he was like, "You should drink Scotch on a show and just explain your life." And I was like, "Huh? All right." And so I tried it, and it's like it didn't take off, but I think a lot of people kind of relate to it because it's not a dude coming from family money, it's not a guy coming from huge sponsorship checks, it's just a dude that tried to be a professional driver and failed miserably at it.
Well, at least you made it. At least you got there.
No, I did. I made it there, and it was just like I hit the ceiling and then fell down immediately. Like that was a very quick jaunt. But I have the most crazy stories about all the stupidest stuff you could ever imagine. Like my journey leading up to FD is like all sunshine and roses, and like it's good times, and it's buddies, and it's drifting, and it's sick. And then you hit FD, and it's like, I did like 8 laps in 2 years, and I broke my car every single time I drove.
Yeah,
I broke my ankle on Will Parsons in Texas, and like, there's just, that's where that came from. So it's just me regaling a lot of bad things that happened along the way, but they're still fun, and I still love each and every one of them, even though a lot of them were really expensive.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about it, is the insight that a lot of people are, I don't know if they're ignorant about it or blind to it, or they just think that as soon as they make that jump to pro, that the sponsorships are going to fall from the heavens, and and people are gonna come out and change your tires for free, and all this stuff is just gonna, I don't know what it is, but that's a reality check that a lot of people need. I mean,
it's beer goggles for drifting. It's just you get that laser vision. And you're like, I'm a professional driver now. I obviously have to do this. Right. And I think that's the pressure. Like, what else do you do? I got my license. I have to go broke to make this happen.
Yeah. Oh, it's $70,000 a year. Well, I make 30, so that's not.
Yeah, that
work.
Adds up. I got some credit cards. I can put everything on.
You take food stamps? Do you take food stamps?
Stimulation checks.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think it's just that you kind of get high off of the feeling that you've done something that a lot of other people can't do, so you might as well go for it. And that was kind of the boat that I was in. I was like, I'm not a really competitive person inherently. Like, I don't care. And I think that's a huge part of it. It's like, I didn't care enough and I failed, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
But a lot of people, it affects them really poorly. Like, guys get out of FD and they get really depressed, and then it's like that's what they identify with. And I think that's kind of a big thing with the guys that are getting into it, is it's that same thing. It's the pressure. It's your friends. You should totally do this. You're sick.
Yeah, it's like when you see people go on America's Got Talent, and everybody around them has been telling how great they can sing, and then when they sing in front of millions of people, they're like,
what the hell are you
what
doing?
the hell are you doing?
I wasn't as good as I thought I was.
Everybody else says I'm good. Yeah, well,
and it's like and it's funny because the driving portion of it is honestly so small.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is what actually counts. Having spare parts, having a solid team, having sponsors that actually give you money and not just stuff. Everything that goes around drifting, the traveling, having a reliable tow rig, it's like that is 90% of pro drifting, and the driving is like 10% of it.
Right.
And that's being generous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The crew is a major part of it, because we've seen that time and time again where your driver's got one other. I mean, like in Homestead, you only had your photographer helping you out.
Guy, JaywoodMedia.com was there to do everything.
Exactly.
Borrow Tyler Wolfson's pit people. Hey man, what are you doing with your tire changer later?
You want to come help me out for free?
Yeah, I know you're already busy, but hey, it's me.
Yeah. But it's such a big part of it, like you said, and hitting up little events, even get your pro license for the most part. Well, your pro-am license. I'm thinking back in the day when like SWD, where you didn't really have to travel too much.
Top Drift and Vegas Drift, and
just do the same
every
venue.
One of those rounds is like $5,000 a piece to go to, so you're looking at $20,000 just to run pro-am.
Right, right, ridiculous.
Successfully.
Right, and then it's
insane.
Right, triple, quadruple that just to go pro. Right, so
I mean, just your entry fees.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so now. Fast forward a little bit. What brought you to Klutch? Like, how did you get hooked up with Klutch Kickers?
I think that was honestly just kind of word of mouth. Like, we talked a little bit last year to do the first round, and they were like, "We'd like you to do it, but we've got some other people on the table who haven't committed yet." And I was like, "Well, if you can, I will. If you can't, I won't." And I won't, because I didn't, obviously. So they had 3 other judges last year. I'm good friends with Will Parsons. And Will kind of threw my name back in the ring for this year when Pat decided to become a driver. And so he was like, "Well, I threw your name in the ring for that." And then they called me up and we talked a little bit. And I was like, "I think I could be pretty good for the series." I mean, I've been running and judging drift events since 2009.
You're a masochist.
Yeah, I know. Pro-am stuff, like it's crazy. Like I've got some decent experience, and so they're like, "Yeah, I think you'd be a good fit." And then I didn't hear anything until like 3 weeks before the event was starting. I was like, "Hey, dudes, we doing this or not?"
Yeah, us too.
And he was like, "Oh yeah. Let me get some things together. I think we're gonna choose you." And I was like, "You think?"
Like a Pokemon, like your Pokemon. I choose Dan.
I choose you. And so they finally did, and it was great. They're all really cool dudes, and I absolutely love what Klutch Kickers is doing for drifting. So I'm stoked to be a part of it.
I think we all do, and it's just crazy what it's become, and I love that it's no holds, no barred. It's just go. Everybody can bring whatever they
And it's
want.
an honest pro-am. Like, you have
Yeah.
professionals and you have amateurs competing against each other. It's not like
Right.
the drifting version of pro-am, which is just amateurs.
Everybody's spinning out.
Yeah, always spinning out. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of that. That's who
got-
got
who
my
got-
license. That was,
Who got the highest 0?
that's my events here in New Mexico. Believe me, 0 and 0 plus is my most given out score.
Well, how fast were you going? Well, he was going the fastest before he got a 0. So
Yeah, and we're still
Who
only.
spun out the less amount of times? You? Okay, you're in. Top
Okay.
16 for you.
So I mean, we're still only in the infancy of the series. I mean, we've already seen.
1 year go by, and then
Yeah, we're now in the second year. I mean, I know you're not in it, but how do you see the series growing in the future?
I mean, I think eventually, I think they're going to be here at the Klutch Kickers track, like the home track, for the next couple of seasons at least. I don't know if they're going to do extensions to the track, make changes to the track to have more layout options. Like, we were over there racking our brains trying to come up with brand new layouts that nobody's ever done before.
Right.
And it's difficult to do that with what they have. And
Yeah.
what they've built is absolutely fantastic. It's just having a couple of more options, just in and out somewhere, different layouts, running backwards. It's not conducive to that yet. So I think in the near future, that would be more prominent, and being able to run different layouts every single round makes things more exciting, keeps people more interested. It's more fun as a driver. It's more fun as a spectator when you're not watching the same thing, and the drivers don't get so dialed at the course.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is huge. Like, and that's going back to FD. It's all the same courses, so all these dudes have been driving these tracks for 10 years. And you go up against that in your 1 hour of practice where you get 3 runs. Like, how do you compete with that? And that's what,
Right.
if they don't start to make changes, that's what's going to happen. These guys are going to get so dialed at every small change we make on this layout, it's going to become impossible to judge in the future, because they're going to be so good at it. And so I think branching out after making some changes to the track, I think we talked about using Sandia possibly in the way future, just having different Klutch Kickers, maybe have regional ones. I don't know. It's infinite. There's a lot of drivers that want to do this that live on the complete opposite side of the United States. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like Josh Mason came over.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know. Do you know Josh Mason? Okay, so he came over. I think I don't know what garage he's with. He came over from California. You know, a couple drivers have made that drive from
that's
California.
a far clip for an amateur driver to do, and it's hats off to those guys. I know, because I've I've been there.
Yeah.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if you drive all the way out there and then break something right away, like Pollard. Like, drove all the way out there, blew his turbo, drove all the way back. He was there for less than 24 hours. Man,
I know,
it's just
I know.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, we got to get him in on the live stream. He came up to us and told us he blew a turbo, and that was like, he was definitely one of the guys that we were like, oh, this guy's gonna.
No, he makes drifting exciting, and that's kind of what we want to bring back to drifting. And I think pro drifting it's exciting for what it is, but it's like starting to become untouchable,
Right.
where
Right.
the common man can't even think about competing with a 1,000 horsepower car that's got more grip than every car you've ever owned put together, and that's a whole different story. And that's where I think Klutch Kickers is really shining, is showcasing that, hey, amateurs are still as good as these dudes on the tracks that aren't 500-mile-an-hour entries.
right. And the money.
Yeah, and
That's-
the money, and
that
it
is
pays
unbelievable.
more than FD does.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean that? Yeah. Whoa.
Shots fired, maybe?
Fire. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's no secret. So
Yeah, no.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. And they've always been kind of stingy with that stuff. It's like, even if I would have won, I would have been like, well, I'm still $80,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Gotta go edit the
me.
proposal.
Yeah. Edit the
yeah,
proposal
yeah.
for
I
sure.
just resend that around. Make sure get that out.
Yeah, no, the money
but I
in the
hope to
series
see
is,
them expand. I really do. I love what's happening. I'm so excited.
And I think that's one of the questions they get a lot. Is like, are you going to go to other tracks, right? And I know Michael Casper. I've talked to him about it last year.
He's
I was
very
like, what?
apprehensive.
Yeah,
about
because they got it's like they got it down
done
as
to
far as the
science.
organization. It's down to a science, right? It's
And
comfortable.
they've only been doing this 2 seasons. This is
Not even
1.1
one season.
seasons.
yeah. It's like
So they have a lot to learn still. but luckily they have a really good team of people to kind of help guide and dudes like me that have been doing this for a very, very, very long time, giving them small tips and tricks and pointers and
they
hey,
listen.
maybe you should try this and
right, but they listen.
They take the feedback and they run with it. Like they didn't really want me to talk in the driver's meeting, but I really had a lot to say.
Oh, he did.
Well, Will's a little too quiet. Nobody can hear him, so
Yeah, and so I'm Will's translator for
There you
one. So I translate for Will, which is fine. I'll do that. He's a good guy.
he is.
But yeah, I think it's going in a positive direction, and they're really open to feedback. He talks to all the drivers. Hey, what can we change? What can we make better? How can we make this smoother? What can we do to make on the operations side of things? Like he really, really cares about it, and I think that's super, super important.
Yeah, and we got to work.
It's not just a money grab.
Right,
So-
and exactly, and then of course we got to start working with you guys as well to work out some kinks to provide for.
Yeah, I have some ideas for that, which we will talk about at a later date.
Okay.
We're getting fired.
Oh, that's it. Oh man. Oh, I know what he's gonna pick for me if it's. Oh man, son of a gun. All right, so I mean, is there anything before we start really getting into the nitty gritty here?
I don't know.
The
I think
meat
it's
and
time.
potatoes.
Wait,
Wait.
I got a question. It's sort of not related to Klutch Kickers. How's the Lexus?
Oh,
The Lexus is fantastic. It's my first 2J car, well, 1.5J. I actually got my license in an SC300, but it wasn't mine, and it was probably one of the best cars that I've ever had. It was built by this guy named Brian out here in New Mexico. He just let me use it all season. I got my license. I was like, sick.
Nice.
Because I didn't touch it. The moment I touch things, they explode, and yeah, whatever. So bought this car from a dude randomly in San Francisco, shipped it down. He was like, yeah, I think it makes like 500. We threw it on the dyno. It made 710.
Wow, talking about understatement.
it was the foot dyno was off.
Somebody won.
Oops. Okay. So a much smaller turbo on it. It made 500 and drove 7,000 miles on Drift Week 2 with no real mechanical problems other than like the lead up where we had to change a bunch of stuff and fix a bunch of things and put a bigger fuel cell in it because it only had like a 6-gallon fuel cell.
Oh no.
Be like Thomas Miata.
yeah, fill up every 35 minutes.
Actually, don't mean to cut you guys off, but we have a question in the chat, and I'm very excited to let you guys know that it's none other than Patrick Gooden, Party Boy Patrick Gooden, with a question for our guest, and it reads, Daniel, how much better are Corvettes than Lexus?
God damn it, Pat. They're probably about 100 times better. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's like you don't do anything. You put an angle kit on it and you go. It's like a 350Z. It's already got the motor you want to swap. You don't have to do any swaps. You got air conditioning. Pat is 110% right, but I'm going to say 0% because I got ran into on Drift Week 2 by a Corvette twice. One, not my fault. One, 50% my fault.
It's a door tap. It's a door tap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it was
what they
a frame.
call it.
It was a frame bender. If that's what
You tap the other door from the other side.
Yeah. So after that moment, I no longer liked Corvettes anymore. But yeah, Pat's right. Vets are the future, and Pat figured that out at the competition, borrowing the NASCAR driver dudes, and I can't remember his name, Alex Bowman's. Mm-hmm. Borrowed Alex Bowman's car and absolutely slayed it. So basically stock with a body kit and an angle kit and a handbrake.
Wow.
And is out there just absolutely slaying. So yeah, Pat, thanks for making me hate myself for getting a Lexus. I get it. You're a vet guy now. Go put your New Balances on.
All right, go ahead, Tim.
Okay, so I mean, I guess start getting into the day. We're watching the qualifying runs, everything. Yeah, going smooth. Watching the drivers' meeting. I love the drivers' meeting. It was just, and I love listening to you. So I got to listen to you in my ear a little bit while the show was going. So sometimes like I'm laughing, and people probably think I'm like senile, and I'm just like, oh, I couldn't. Well, I kind of am, but so I just had to contain myself. But I guess that I'm trying to pad the surface here. So let's just start with the first one that I didn't quite understand, and that was the and I think after I watched it, I got it. But maybe those of you that watched this the top 64 battle on Sunday, we saw the only reversed call, which was between Willie Espinosa and Ethan Hodges. Can you? I don't know if you can explain that for us. What you remember?
So on our call, it was kind of a cut and dry thing. Like there was huge mistakes. What was the other guy's name?
Ethan Hodges and Willie Espinosa.
Yeah. So Ethan had a big mistake and kind of was just like, all right, well, that's that. And so he came up and protested, and he actually showed us on the live stream video where there was a gigantic slowdown at the very end of Zone 1. And in the driver's meeting, we had said that the only place you can be slowing down is between entry and the start of Zone 1. Mm-hmm. And so there was a little bit of smoke, and then there was no smoke from Willie's car, which made him kind of have to come up on him really, really fast, and then he went off the track.
Right.
So we didn't see that. We just thought he came in way too hot and just went, because it was quick. Like that slowdown was just enough to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And we didn't see that. And so Willie moved on. He protested, showed us exactly in the live stream where the slowdown was. And we were like, wow, we missed that, man. We're really sorry. Absolutely, we will overturn this. That was 100% our mistake.
Right. Right.
And so we overturned it, and then it was Willie was obviously upset with that decision because he had moved on, and it's just like you had a huge slowdown. We didn't see it. We missed it. He used his right to protest. The protest was correct, and he now moves on. We apologize. Better luck next time. And so that's where that call was from.
And is there anything different that you? Because you've judged many events before, and is there anything different that the way the judging or the way to bring the protest that's different that maybe you're not used to, or is this something that?
Well, for one, protests are a new thing. Like it's not something that's existed in drifting really ever until FD started doing it, and it's expensive and blah 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 blah. But judging is basically the same. So I guess I'm kind of old school. Like I've never judged an event where I have a replay. So I have to be very acutely aware of everything that happens. And how many hours did we have of qualifying?
Long, I don't know.
A good amount. 6, really long time to pay attention.
Yeah. What was the final driver count? I think it was 62, right?
It was 62, but then with qualifying, we ended up at like 54 after people broke.
Yeah.
But it's tough to concentrate for that long. So I want to put my heart and soul into everybody's score. I will miss something at some point. All three of us missed that, and that's what's rare. Is it was kind of a weird thing where all three of us missed that one little moment, and it was just like, okay, well, that was blatantly obvious. I'm sorry we didn't see that. And so having the replays is something that's new to me. Having the ability to watch them sometimes was frustrating because as something would be happening, it would change from the drone and go to a different camera angle where we couldn't see. And so in honesty, it makes it a little more difficult to do it that way because I can usually have a pretty good idea of what's happening on the track, but going back and look at it, I question myself, and then he questions himself, and then it's just like, okay, where do we go with this? We can't actually see it because the camera changes.
Right.
And so that was some of the feedback we gave him was like, hey, around the first outer turn, can you guys stay on the drone until interclip 1? Then you can switch. Because they would cut right as tires were going off, and we'd be like, well, now we can't tell if he was 2 tires off or not.
Right. Yeah.
And that happened many times. And so they did. And they took the feedback, and then the drone stayed all the way until interclip 1. So cool. I didn't know we could do that. That was a feature. And that's really awesome that they did that for us. And so that made it a lot easier to see if somebody was 2 tires off, because you could physically see from the top they're 2 tires off.
Right.
Right. Do you want to quickly go over the judging criteria and sort of basically go I know Tim tried to do the best he could to try to relay that information that you guys went over in the drivers meeting, but can you quickly go over what you put heavier emphasis on and some of the things you were looking for from the drivers?
Absolutely. So high level, for line, obviously line is line. What we decided as judges when we set up the course was exactly what we wanted to see, and Will kind of broke that down. This is line. This is what I want to see. This is the spots, in his quiet voice. Now Dwayne was the line judge, so maybe we'll have Dwayne actually speak. He has a little louder voice than Will does next time. So Will kind of explained everything with line, which then I had to repeat, and they're very specific. It's like we set the course up. We watched guys run it in practice all day Friday. We made really small adjustments to make it smoother, to make it more fun, and to make it so that the high horsepower cars couldn't walk away at certain points in the track where there had to be a slowdown to get to an awkward area. Made it a little more difficult for the low horsepower guys, but it literally kept them in the game. So the changes that we made were pretty good. They were small, but they were just enough to kind of even the playing field. So we were very picky about line, and line was worth 30. I can't remember the exact breakdown, but I think me and Angle was 35 and his was 30, 40, something like that.
Well, we got Dwayne on the chat, so maybe he could chime in
Dwayne.
at some point.
Yeah, and so
go ahead.
Real quick. So then Will talked about angle. Like, we don't want to see shallow angle. Like, I know FD's really preached that, like, we want closer tandems so you can shallow up really hard to get to the guys, and it's like, no, we want to see drifting. We want to see angle to angle, and we want to see big transitions to angle, and we're very specific about that as well. We want to see exciting driving again is what we are trying to drive home. And then when it was my turn to talk, I basically said, I want you to make my pants tight.
Yeah, I was there for that. Yeah, I kind of said that a lot in the live stream. I don't know if you heard that. I was like, I think Dan's pants are getting tight.
And it's funny because like 99% of the dudes knew exactly what I was talking about. I didn't have to say anything else. There were a couple of guys that had to come up and clarify what exactly is making your pants tight.
Taking your shirt off.
What size pants do you wear?
And I get it. This is a competition for money. This isn't something to be taken lightly. But at the same time, everybody that wants to watch this live stream wants to see these dudes slay. They want to see some of the best driving they've seen from an amateur competition ever. And I want to provide that. And so I kind of reiterated with that. It's like, big snaps to angle to the people that needed the clarification. I want to see tons of smoke. I want to see commitment. I want to see throttle control, which is a thing that not a lot of guys know about.
I'm surprised.
Pollard is acutely aware of throttle control, which is freaking smashed to the floor.
Yes.
And some of the other guys were the same way. Hamilton, who else was really good? Obviously, Alec was really good at that. I mean, when you're making smoke the whole time and there's only a few lifting spots, that's making my pants tight. Like, I want to see the videos that you were sharing on the internet when you first got into drifting with the Japanese dudes, and like, I didn't have to explain that to literally anybody, and they got it, and they provided. Oh my God, they provided. I was so excited during the latter half of qualification and the top 16 tandem battles. It was unbelievable. Like, it made me so stoked on drifting again.
Let me ask you, did Parsons and Ramsey get uncomfortable when you were tight?
Probably, but that's not my problem.
Oh, and by the way,
they should be paying attention to other things than my pants.
Your eyes up here, buddy. Your eyes up here.
And so I will, in the next drivers meeting, I'll basically reiterate that and kind of elaborate just so that we have technical documentation of what the style judge wants out of style.
Yeah.
And so I would be happy to break that down in the next meeting. I'm happy I didn't really have to in that meeting, but it got the point across, and I think some of the driving changed because of that, which was fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah.
And then another thing, it was like, we want you guys to launch like you're a rocket ship off the start line. So there were no start line shenanigans this year. None.
Yeah,
Little
I remember
hiccups,
that.
But it's like you can tell that there was not, for lack of a better word, fuckery going on.
Shenanigans.
There were no shenanigans. So I think that eliminated a lot of that, having the start light. Again, feedback, changes. Yeah. That eliminated a lot of that too, because it's like light turns green, you freaking go.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
And so we would be on the start line. Did he sleep? No, he didn't sleep. Sick. Write that down in the book.
Yep. Cut and dry.
And that was that. Like that solved a huge problem that happened a bunch of times last year.
Yeah.
And
Right.
there you go.
Yeah, we had quite a bit on this show.
And that's what I want to try to do, which is funny that I'm on this podcast now talking about it. Is I wanted to kind of eliminate the drama that I've created my own, you know?
Yeah. We don't know what you're talking about.
I pull your drama and
idea.
insert my own.
Oh, yeah. Your drama is incorrect, sir.
I'll show you.
Yeah. Just to clarify, going back to a previous comment, 35 for line, 35 for style, and 30 for angle.
There you go.
That makes 100.
That adds up.
Okay.
No, does that add up?
Yes, it does.
And so the highest score that I gave out was a 33 to anybody. And I think there were 2 of those.
Oh, okay.
And then I basically went, you start with a 35, and at the end of your run, you would go down towards a 0. Or I think the lowest score I gave was a 6.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, that's harsh,
Yeah.
but complete the course, and you won't get a 6.
Right.
You'll get a 10. But I want to teach people to be stylish when they drive. Not everybody can drive like Dustin Miles, but you can pretend to drive like Dustin. He can be, ask him questions, you know. I want the guys that are heavily rewarded for style to kind of let that bleed down into the pack and show people what we want to see and reward them heavily for that.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, style is actually one of the biggest things from actually old school drifting culture. So it's only right to keep that in today. So
Yeah, it is. And I'm not judging people's car styles. I'm not judging their hairstyles. I'm not judging their body language styles. I want you to show me your style behind the wheel. Like, I don't care what your car looks like. If you're making more smoke than anybody, you could have no fenders, no hood. It's ugly. It's got things sticking out. Show me what you got.
Yeah, that's exactly the same thing he said in the drivers' meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Show me what you got. That was emphasis number 2. and dudes did. So, yeah, that was fantastic.
So, do you want to go over Alec's qualifying run, because he was a number 1 qualifier, and obviously he delivered on everything. Well, not everything, but he was the closest to deliver on everything that all 3 judges were looking for.
He absolutely was. He had a huge baller entry, like 20 feet before the first set of cones. Like, he was already in drift. We couldn't even see where he started because they had those K-rails that were up over there. It was just like, well, he's in drift 10 feet off the start line. Don't know how he did it, but okay. And then just proceeded to just lay it down on that entire run. It was just like, he was in throttle by the end of where you're supposed to initiate, which was insane. Like, nobody had done that. And so for me, that was immediate, you know what I'm saying?
Excitement.
Yes. There was full excitement happening. And then it was just nailed the outer zone. So he did really well on line, and he was paying attention. He had huge flicks to angle with commitment. So a lot of times what guys will do is they'll flick in and then they'll have to give it a little bit of E to set themselves up right. But it was like Alec was in and on throttle every single spot that he needed to be. So he was one of my 33s.
Okay.
But he also added up all those points for line and angle because of his full commitment and how much angle he was driving at during his run. And so that's why he scored so high with us, because his run was goddamn exciting.
Yeah. And actually,
people were standing up. I mean, that's what you want to do. You're showing off. You're a drift car driver. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You want to make people be like, oh, damn. And
so,
Alec did that very well.
Yeah. So one of the thing about that run was he did it at night when everybody else was really struggling. So it was really impressive.
The track gripped up like crazy, and he still made it happen and still hit all the points. And it was kind of unbelievable, because guys came up and they were like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. It's like the track got really grippy, and I messed up and I bobbled. And I was like, hey, man, you did what you could. Now you learn this for next time. Mm-hmm. You write that down in your little book, and you move on, and then you kill it on your next qualifying lap.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah,
that's this level of drifting that the guys are not used to, I think.
This track really grips up when it gets cold.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it did, and you could see it because everybody was about 10 feet off of most of the zones, and it's just because their cars were just pulling them in, and it was just it's a disadvantage, but you can make it work. Obviously, you can make it work.
Yeah, so after qualifying, Tim and we decided to walk out onto the track, and it felt like a drag strip. Like our shoes were starting to get stuck onto the pavement. I've never seen a drift track like
it wasn't warm at all, which is crazy. It's just that's the amount of rubber that got laid down.
Yeah.
Because dudes were on it. The dudes that were on it were on it. And they were laying down.
Yeah.
Let's go over to the other side of the spectrum. I wouldn't want you to release or divulge who got the lowest score, but do you have words of encouragement to that individual so that way they can improve on the next competition?
Yeah, I actually have that in front of me right here.
Oh, okay.
I got my notes out. I was ready. I was kind of ready for this. But yeah, the lowest score that I personally gave out was that 6. I don't know what his total score was.
12.
But it can't have been very high. And basically that's struggling to link the course. You're off. You're inside. You're dropping a tire on the inside of the track where you should be way outside. It's not listening to anything that we said. And I watch a lot of these guys drive, and I watch where their heads are at, and I'm like, what is he looking at? Because I wasn't watching from the judging tower. I was down. I was in the shit. I was down there. I was running around like a media guy, just casually observing during practice, and I'm like, what are these dudes looking at? Guys over here looking off in the distance, and the dude's like looking back. I'm like, and it was immediately clear. The first guy that ran that was pro, it was just like, all right, first lap out, nailed it. And we're just like, so people can pay attention to what we said. You just chose not to.
You're starting to doubt yourself.
I think that it's just a lack of heads up awareness of being able to pay attention. You're still new to drifting probably, and you don't exactly know what to do with your hands still, or obviously where to look, or body positioning even in the car. Like dudes are chopping wood all over the place. Like, calm down. Just calm down. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. If you want to run Pro-Am and up, you should be able to link the track first try. 100%. If you cannot link the track first try, you should not be doing Pro-Am. Period.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's a
real
good one.
Here's what separates the Pro-Am driver that can link the course first try from the pro drivers. By your third lap, you should be 100% dialed online.
Yeah.
Then you reel it in and make even more improvements. So you lay on the smoke, you lay on the angle, you lay on the big transitions. You're not struggling through 4 hours of practice not having completed one lap. How are you going to show the judges that you can pay attention when you can't even do a proper lap in the first place? So practice. It's paying attention. It's setting cones up and actually aiming for them without hitting them. It's listening to what we say, and even again what's in between our words, and translating that into your own style. So I think that's that's a difficult thing for new drivers that are new to competition for them to understand. So
that's some good advice.
good luck. Yeah. Good luck next time. I hope they're watching. I hope they pay attention. I want these guys to succeed. I want them to ask us questions before we go into qualification, not during or immediately after when we're super busy.
Yeah.
So catch us.
Yeah.
Talk to us. I will give you the feedbacks, believe me.
Actually, there is a question in the chat by a man by the name of Patrick Gooden. I don't know. This Patrick Gooden guy. Any case, yeah. Could you all talk about the speed or style debate of judging? Speed being the most unsubjective and style being the most subjective. Obviously, putting the speed gun in an area where it isn't at all car-based and having min/max speed that any car could get just based on the driver holding it, WTFO. And to relate it to KK, why is style judged and not speed? On to you, Dan.
I don't know what happened to speed. I remember every event that I started in as a young lad, there was a dude with a speed gun at the end of the straightaway, and if you were under a certain amount of miles an hour, you got a 0. Like,
remember we used to do that at County Line.
We
We
used
used
to
to
do that.
bought a
that's
speed
how
gun.
drifting was. And then
Yeah.
that just like overnight was just like, all right, well, everybody lost their speed guns.
Batteries died.
Batteries died, and then nobody decided to care anymore. FD stopped using speed. It was just like, what happened?
Exactly.
I don't know if it was like a logistical thing. Like now we got to relay to the dude holding the speed gun to get the numbers, and then the numbers get messed up, and then it's just something else we have to pay attention to. I can definitely bring that up. Like I miss that. I miss being like, dude, you were doing like 14 miles an hour right here. Obviously. Come on, man. Let's pick that up a little bit. Let's do a faster burnout, can we? I mean, Pat, I'm not opposed to it. I think it would be cool, but it may complicate things even more than they actually already are. But I like that. I miss that. I didn't even remember that. Like, it was so long ago that we had speed guns in competition. Holy crap.
Correct.
Yeah.
Dip
Yeah.
down
when I
into the
bought it for
archives,
fun, so.
bud.
Yeah, we picked up a used one. We used to use it on the
We got a
track all the
police radar.
time.
We got an old
old police one with a little tuning fork. You had,
And that, I don't know if it's going to be incorporated into anything judging wise for this season, but maybe we could have somebody doing that for next season. Absolutely. And not entry. Like, I don't want to penalize guys with low horsepower cars that are out here absolutely slaying it when they're going up against an 800 horsepower FD car. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, oh, he was 25 miles an hour faster than you. You can suck rocks. I don't want to do that to people. Like, that's not my goal. Like, I don't want to single dudes out that are really, really, really trying. But in drift, I think absolutely, like, blasting down in front of us would be a really good spot to do that, because then you can tell the guys that are left foot braking versus the guys that are absolutely committed and in it.
well, we
So,
could. They
I mean,
have
that
them on
could
the side
definitely
of.
be a thing.
They're always on the side of the road. We could just borrow one, right? You're an officer.
Sign up there that automatically sets the speed. It's just gonna blink when they're over 55 miles an hour, and we'll
That'd
be
be
like, all
great.
right, that dude did really good. I like that. That's solid. Let's work on stealing one of those.
Yeah, to borrowing.
Obtaining,
Borrowing,
borrowing,
yeah,
temporarily relocating.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holt County wouldn't know.
Yeah, whole county
Call,
would know.
Pat. God, that. Holy crap! I forgot about that whole part of drifting.
Thank you, Pat. So Tim, you wanna?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
I
So
do.
yes. So we're leading into the reason why you're in witness protection program right now. And
Yeah.
is there anything you want to say before we get into this?
I do. I have some points that I would like to bring up to the fans, to the very passionate fans of He Who Is Not Named. LZ and I are good friends. We've been good friends for a long time. I was in an LZ video, which probably to his fans seems like 25 years I that's fine. Whatever. You can look back into his archives and find it. I I'm also good friends with Alec. Not as good as LZ, actually, but Alec is a good kid. I've always respected his driving. I like that he blows bumpers off his goddamn car every time he sits in it. That's exciting. That means he's getting close to things and he's pushing the limit. And I've always found his driving absolutely humbling. Like, and then having to be competing or practicing with him, it's just like he's going to put it on you no matter what. Like, that's just how he's been since I've known the kid. But I also want to touch on the fact that Will, Dwayne, and myself are not new to drifting. We have seen some stuff. We've done some stuff. Like, combined, I think we have 45 years of drifting experience, which is kind of unbelievable. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah.
And not just like little stuff. Like, we all did pro at the same time. Very unsuccessfully, obviously, because we're
because you're here with us.
yeah. And I'm not traveling to Europe to go compete in my other car. But we're not in it for the money. We're in it because we love drifting, and we've basically made our lives surround it in some way or another, and we're passionate about making it really, really cool again. And so that's kind of what I wanted to drive home to all the fans is we want cool stuff. And that's really going to play into this battle that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And I also want to say that it's not just me.
Yeah. You sure? Are you sure?
I got attacked pretty hard by LZ's people on the old interwebs, and I'm a pretty resilient dude, but I have been on a goddamn blocking spree. Because it's just like, guys, stop. It's drifting. Like, I get it. You're passionate about your dude. You want your dude to win. I want your dude to win if he shows me that. Okay. So it's not just me. I'm not like, oh, Adam loses, and then the other judges are like, that's not how it works. We're all looking for specific things in a run, very specific things, and if they don't all fall in line, that person won't move on. And so that's kind of what I'm going to get into in a little bit, but we want to bring exciting back. And again, this goes back to what we kind of brought up in the drivers meeting, where it's like, no more soccer falls, no more light taps and spin outs. That's drama. That's BS. I hate seeing that in drifting, and it's been pretty prevalent in pro drifting for a while now. It's like an automatic pass, and that's the problem, is that LZ's fans now see that as an automatic pass. If there's contact, Adam wins.
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
I don't think that that's correct. Like, I want Adam to show me that Adam should win, not his fans telling me that he should win over and over and over and over.
Oh, like when Odie bumped Forsberg.
Yeah.
With his
Yeah, like, I mean, there's good bumps and then there's bad bumps, and we all can see the difference in those, I would hope. And that's kind of what we wanted to encourage, and we'll go over that in this next drivers meeting that we have with the guys. It's like, no more soccer falls. We want to see taps. We do not want to see hits. I don't want dudes destroying their cars out there. I want to see aggressive driving. I want to see half moons on doors again. I want to see that back in drifting, where that's kind of gone the wayside because of that. Like, tap win. Yeah. It's so disappointing. That's not a good way to win a battle. We just want to see cool stuff, basically.
We're all for it.
And fourthly, none of these dudes are our friends while we're judging. Like, I turn that off. Again, I am paying attention to the run and the run only. Show me what you got. We're not buds. Nobody's giving me goddamn money. Stop saying that.
Are you sure?
If somebody wanted to send me $100 and was like, "Yo, I'd like to win, please," I'd tell him to fuck off, and then I'd ban him from the goddamn event. Like, there's no question about that. I don't even have the power to do that, and I would drive their car out the gate. No, nobody is paying me. Come on, like, that's just ridiculous. And that's I just wanted to get that stuff out of the way. All three of us are super passionate about drifting. We're super passionate about bringing exciting driving back. And I think this is the drivers that are going to do that. And yeah, that's it. That's the bottom line.
Sounds
Sorry,
good.
I just ranted pretty hard there.
No,
you
that's
good?
That's fine. That's fine. So before we get into the actual battle between Alec and Adam, car wise, because I saw some things on there that just didn't seem accurate whatsoever. I mean, for the most part, their cars are fairly even compared to a lot of other battles that would have been up there, right? From what I know.
Yeah,
so Adam,
I think Adam turned his down. I think Alec had fixed an issue with his that they've been apparently having for like 7 years.
I found it.
I know the feels very well. That one. Like, oh, that's what it was. I know Adam was really struggling with too much grip, and then the track got even grippier at night. And it's like watching Adam in practice and watching Adam through qualifying. He was really inconsistent, and we talked about this, guys. To any of LZ's people that are watching this, it's like we talked about this. He was having a lot of problems, but then he would just throw down the sickest run, and it was just like, where did that come from? Keep doing that. Then he got rewarded for that. He was highest qualifier for a while. I think maybe like 4 runs. This is a while in drifting, but we rewarded him for doing an awesome run, and we wanted to see that continue. But when you're fighting a car, it is like the worst thing ever because it gets in your head, and then you're struggling, and nothing really comes together. So I understand what Adam was going through, especially since he didn't mean to bring this car when he's more comfortable on this track with the BMW. And he said that as well. He was like, I'm so used to driving this track in the BMW. This was a huge challenge. And for him to get 3rd place in a really... And I know this sounds really stupid to say, oh, you brought an FD car to the night fight. That can be a huge disadvantage.
right.
Bringing this high horsepower grip monster that's supposed to be in 4th gear all the time and trying to wrangle it in 2nd gear, 3rd gear, like that's difficult. So for Adam to just jump in and do that it takes some skills to make that happen. So I'm not slighting the dude in any way, shape, or form, but you bring those guns to the knife show, and Dan wants to see the gunfight.
Oh yeah.
I know what the cars can do, and I know what the drivers can do behind the wheels of those cars. So I want to see all of that, and so do all of the other judges, and so do the fans, and so do you guys, and so does the live stream. Give us that.
Right. That's
And
why
again,
we're here. That's
you
why
will
we're
be
here.
Rewarded.
Right.
Yes, exactly. That's why we're here. So
In more than
that's
one
my
way.
thoughts. yeah, exactly. So I mean, I understand, but both of the cars were technically pretty even. I just think that Alec's car was a little looser. It was a little easier to drive.
Okay.
And I think that was the big difference between the runs that we'll go over thusly.
Yeah. Ben, do you have the runs? Do you want to just go ahead and show the runs, and maybe Dan can walk us through them?
Yeah, let me try to get that sorted up. But do you want to start off with the first half of the run? Just go over that. And what were some of your notes on that?
I mean, everything kind of started going wrong for Adam in turn 1. And I will say this right off the bat. This was not a clear-cut case of, oh, Alec won hands down. This was really, really close, but it wasn't quite close enough for one more time, because a lot of people were like, oh, you should have just run it one more time. Again, I want to reward people that are almost dead even with a one more time. 110%. Believe me, we did a couple of them that really deserved it. Like, we have no winner. We have no clear winner in this battle. Nobody really made mistakes. Let's run them again. Like the Dustin Miles and Nate. I believe that's what that one was, right? Dustin Miles and Nate Hamilton? Or was it somebody else?
I don't.
The one where Dustin went twice, and then he flung his serpentine belt 45 feet in the air. And
right. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
So they probably could have run all night driving like that, and my pants would have been tight for like 4 hours, and then I would have to go see a doctor.
Yeah, new pants. New pants. Stat.
So, but stuff like that is going to happen. At that point, when the driving is so dialed, it just becomes the laws of attrition. Somebody's going to break. Somebody's going to crash. Somebody's going to bend something. Like, that's just... So, again, one more times are kind of used sparingly. when we really, really, really can't make a decision.
Okay.
The issue with this run was that Adam made way more mistakes than Alec did. And that's all of Adam's mistakes versus Alec's 1 to 2 mistakes were what caused the outcome of this battle.
Right.
And so I can get into that heavily, believe me.
Okay. I think I got it here. Hang on, because there's been some changes to the configuration, so hopefully I could get this going. Right now, people can see it. Let me just try to set it up so that way Dan can take a look. Is this it? Yeah, it's right there. For that. All right.
Oh.
And then let's go ahead and hit play. So, Dan, you want to talk us through this?
Yeah, so I had a video queued up for this, but I guess it's having some technical difficulties being played.
Play the video.
Play the audio.
Play the audio.
Oh, that other one. Okay,
Yeah.
my apologies.
Hold on.
Yes.
We got to beat a Ben right here. Hold
Well, we really can't because he's the only one that knows how to do all this stuff.
Sorry. I'm so
We are at
sorry.
your whim, sir.
My
So basically,
apologies.
I made a video before this live stream so that I didn't mess this up, because I know how important it is to LZ's fans to hear from the horse's mouth, WTF, bro.
Right. So you can basically play it with the audio, and Dan doesn't even have to
play
do
with
anything.
the audio.
Cruise control.
I break it down. I pause it. I replay things. And I hate doing this to runs because, again, that's not drifting. Like, drifting is kind of a seat of the pants thing. And while judging, it's nice that we have the replays and stuff. Like, I hate breaking runs down like this because it takes away from the spirit. But yes, if you got it, cue it. Let's see what we got.
Let's see.
Or we can just sit here and look cool.
Do you want?
Come on.
Nice.
There we go. Okay.
You got it?
I think so.
Everybody out
Oh, look
there,
at these
keep in
stickers that
mind
I got.
We are
That's
very,
pretty cool.
Hey, Lamau. These drivers.
There's a lot of those.
Especially
I hear
these
Dan's
two in
voice, so that
particular.
must be it.
These two dudes are both successful Pro 1 drivers who know exactly what we're looking for.
That sounds like
and
me,
can
all right.
both absolutely shred both.
I listen to
lead and
this
follow
voice a
laps,
lot doing
as we had
those
seen
stupid
all
things.
weekend. So we wanted a good goddamn show. So what I'm going to do here is break down the lead and the follow run for each driver based on all 3 judges' notes that we took during the event. So here we go. All right, both drivers launched out of the hole like bats out of hell. Perfect. Now, pausing. As the style judge, I gave Adam a very, very slight advantage on entry since he was already in drift by the first set of cones, where Alec was early, just not as much as Adam was. Both line and angle were even at this point, as both entries were pretty similar. Now, also take note, the proximity. Alec is definitively closer than Adam was to him. Now, moving along to the outer zone, here's where the differences start to become much more clear. Both drivers missed the start of zone 1, then the difference between the driving here is twofold. Now, as the style judge, Alec had a ton more commitment running up onto Adam to the outer zone from entry, where LZ had to play a bit of catch-up to get into the pocket to be closer to Alec. Now, as for line, both drivers' lead laps were off. Both of them missed the start of outer zone number 1. The big difference is Adam was a half car length more shallow than Alec's run was. Basically, all of outer zone 1, so Alec came out with the advantage there. Now, both drivers had similar angle, but because of LZ's shallow line, Alec wasn't able to really push up on Adam without getting choked up at the inner. With Alec on a better lead line, Adam was able to maintain more proximity, so advantage went to Alec on both runs for this one. Now, moving on to the inner clip, that shallow line that Adam was on also threw him about 3 feet off of the inner, where Alec was within inches. So, again, advantage Alec for the line and angle here. Style was even for me. Now, lead run wise on the next section, because Alec's line was on point coming from the inner, his flick to the touch and go was super sick, super committed, and he filled the entire thing with big angle. Adam actually overcame being off on the inner and nailed the outer touch and go. Now, breaking this down, you can see Adam shallow up to catch Alec, and Adam misses the touch and go while following, where Alec maintains through the touch and go following Adam to gain the advantage there as well. Now, coming into outer zone 3, again, both drivers are a bit late getting deep into outer zone 2, with Adam being quite a bit more shallow line-wise early on than Alec was. The big difference here is that Alec again has more commitment on transition while maintaining more proximity sooner than Adam's run did, with LZ playing a bit more catch-up after transition, so advantage to Alec on both lead and follow run. Now, both guys filling the outer zone, Alec maintains more proximity throughout the zone than Adam did, so again, advantage Alec. On the transition from Outer Zone 2 to Outer Zone 3, both dudes absolutely slayed on their lead runs, and I actually gave the excitement points advantage to LZ for flicking harder and with more commitment during his follow run, where Alec bobbles a bit to settle into the pocket on his. Advantage LZ. Now here's where the controversy begins. Midway through Outer Zone 3, Alec is a bit too aggressive and has to correct, straightening his wheels but still maintaining drift, giving LZ the love tap heard round the world. Now, Alec doesn't completely straighten. We verified this with multiple camera angles before making this call. His wheels straighten a bit, but the car maintains drift. He taps LZ without LZ changing his line or angle, and they both finish the run. Now here is where the huge difference lies, and this circles back to us wanting to see exciting driving again. LZ was about a car and a half away from Alec on his chase run throughout Outer Zone 3, which isn't exciting, where even after the bump, Alec finished with more proximity than Adam did on his follow. Now, gigantic props to LZ for not taking the soccer fall during the tap and putting on a great show for everyone. This being said, follow car contact does not automatically mean that car loses, as long as it does not completely mess up the lead driver's run. We want to encourage awesome stuff, as long as it isn't destroying people's cars, their line, and or their lead runs. So, in closing, when comparing lead to lead and follow to follow like we did for every other battle in this event, Alec's lead run was much better for LZ to follow, but Adam lacked proximity at multiple points throughout his following run, where LZ was offline multiple times during his lead run, but Alec managed to be closer to him almost the entire time. Therefore, Alec's bubble tap at the end was not enough of a mistake to overcome Adam's multiple mistakes in both his lead and follow runs overall, so Alec got the win and the entire internet decided to hate us. This has been Officer Dan, and we'll see you for Klutch Kickers Round 2. Where I never, ever, ever want to make one of these videos again.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh, there it is.
It took me like 5 hours, guys. I just hope you know that.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, can you do that at the event?
Every run?
Oh my god.
We want a breakdown of
I
every
don't think
run.
I could get paid enough to do that. That was brutal. That was soul-sucking, brutal work right there.
You mean Alec didn't? You didn't get enough money from Alec to fund the
All that
rest of your
money.
career? Darn.
Yeah, I don't know. I must have lost the check.
It bounced.
I should have written it on a big check. Maybe I would have.
Oh, there you go. That's funny.
Now, I do want to mention that while I was announcing on the live stream, I myself had the opinion because I saw what the viewers saw, and even
He messed everything
Did you say
up.
something
Yeah.
stupid?
Yeah, he said something stupid.
of course I said something stupid. No, but I was kind of baffled at the call at first, but then when I watched the drone footage, it was perfectly clear why that call was there.
We had a couple other angles, and Adam did protest, and I just want to say that out of all of the teams that protested, Adam's was the most respectful, Adam's was the most polite, and Adam was the most he left like, okay, I get it, I understand. So thank you, Adam, LZ, and team for being so awesome when we told you no, we're not going to overturn your petition. Like, that's just a lot of the teams were kind of huffy when we had to tell them no, and or, well, why? It's like, we just
That's what we just told you.
we spent 15 minutes going over this, but
Yeah.
you can leave now. But yeah, he was super polite, and we showed him exactly that. there was one, the live stream clip that was there, the drone was super close to both of the cars. And that's what we were going off of, but like it deceived us because what we saw on the track differed from what was on the live stream. So when we were watching it, we were like, that's not how it was. Because it looks from where they are that Alec is completely straight because the drone is basically straight on with him and it's really close. So his wheels correct big time. Yes, that's a huge deduction. Again, he did make mistakes. We're not denying that. We're not denying that he touched Adam, but it didn't really change what Adam was doing. And we want to encourage that, not discourage that. Also, again, props to Adam for keep driving and not doing the soccer player thing. So he didn't grab his shin and cry and hope the other dude gets a yellow card. So that's what we want to bring back. We want to bring back that. We don't want people spearing into each other, obviously, because that's stupid and that shouldn't happen. But it does. There's mistakes that happen, and that's kind of drifting. But yes, there was things that happened, and hopefully that goes to kind of clear the air there,
Right.
a little bit.
I mean, you can't do really
people
much.
are still gonna hate the decision. Like, I get it. You love your boy, and I respect that.
Yeah, it's not about liking the decision, right? But at the same time, life goes on.
You move on.
You move on, and that's really it. And
drifting's a judge sport. It's
Yeah.
It
up
is
to the-
subjective, and you're not going to agree with everything that I have to say, but I want you to know that I am saying it from the bottom of my heart that loves drifting probably more than you do.
I love it more than you do.
That was such a douchebag thing to say, but
that's no problem.
I
That is
do.
true.
I'm very passionate about this, and I want that to exude from the way that I judge people and the way that I want to coach people to be better drivers.
And that's just it, right? So like you're doing more than judging, right? You're not only judging, but you're instructing for those newcomers that are coming up. You're
Yes.
letting them know what you want to expect. So you're judging them in a way that you're trying to push them to be a better driver.
Yeah,
Because you don't want them to suck
110%.
for the rest of their career, right?
No, I don't want them to suck, and I don't want them to get the wrong ideas about competitive drifting, because competitive drifting can be super fun. Like my Pro-Am days were my favorite days drifting, 110%. And that's what this is. This brings back those feelings, and I don't want to discourage people to do this. I want to encourage people to do this, especially if you know that one kid that's super gangster that should be out here. Try everything that you can to get him out here and show us what you got. There were some dudes that really surprised me. Like I see a lot of names on the internet that really kind of like clicked. And I had no idea how hard those dudes actually shred in real life. Like I see pictures and stuff, and like I pay attention to drifting. That's again, I'm passionate about it, so I pay a lot of attention. I may not comment, I may not like, but I see you out there. And so to put the names to the faces, I was like, Jesus Christ.
You look like that.
That dude rips, like, and it makes me excited again, and I want to continue doing that as new drivers get into the series, and as drivers that may not have been so good in this first round really step it up. They go to all the practices that Klutch Kickers has, and they show off to us as the judges the way that you should show off to us as the judges.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Keone Rodriguez was one that stood out that I never really
Yes.
know. I mean, he was ripping it. I just
In
think
practice he wasn't.
right.
But they came up. They were one of the only teams during practice to come up and be like, okay, what do we want to do here? Other than the pro teams. The pro teams don't count because they know they have spotters, and the spotters are coaching them, and then the spotters are talking to us. And by the way, if you do not have a spotter at Klutch Kickers, you're doing it wrong. 110%.
You can't use a live stream?
Bring
You can't-
somebody. Bring the homeless dude down the street. And he can watch you and tell you how bad you suck. Because we'll tell him. We will tell him how bad you suck. But you're never going to get any better if you don't have constant feedback. And that's how the pro drivers get so good so quickly at the tracks that they're doing, is because they constantly have somebody barking in their ear about all the mistakes they're making so they can correct them. And that was one of the other things, other than where people were looking in their cars, was a lot of guys didn't come with spotters. And like you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage by not doing that.
Yeah. And Keone really, that was cool to watch him. He had the flag sticking out, and I think with
He did, and he threw freaking down. I think he got a 30 on my styles
yeah.
points, because he like in practice, like I said, they were kind of struggling with the line and they were struggling with what we wanted them to do. And we gave them a lot of feedback and they were super open to it. He wasn't, well, I thought I did this and I thought I did that. And I was like on this dude and none of that. He was super open. He was super receptive and he listened to what we were saying, took the feedback and implemented it. And he had a spotter who was there to give him in the moment feedback. Immediately after the run, it's fresh in your head. Your spotter's like, you were off on inner clip 1, you were off on touch and go, you need to flick in harder, blah, 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 blah. And then you make that feedback right away during your practice. And he did that and then absolutely shredded his qualifying run.
Yeah, no, he was
just
ripping
like, well, I don't know where that came from, but I really liked it.
Yeah, yeah. And when he was tandeming, I think he was just attacking at the wrong. He was attacking through the touch and go, and it seemed like
that's inexperience, and he's going to learn, and he's going to take that feedback, and he's going to make it better next time, and not make those same mistakes.
Right.
And then the other kid that stuck out to me, which kind of came out of nowhere, a kid Cody. Little Cody Buchanan. He had a little teal 350Z. Like he came out of nowhere.
He was actually messaging me for feedback on Instagram.
Yeah, super nice kid.
Long
nice.
distance
Awesome
feedback.
Yeah. yeah. We did an interview with him.
Ripper.
Yeah, we did an interview, and he was like, "Oh man, this is my first interview I've ever done. Can you give me a minute?" And we're like,
"Yeah, I need to compose. This is weird for me." And that's again, this is really cool because it kind of gets them out of that mold where it's like, "Oh, I just went to the event, I sucked, or I didn't do well, and nobody cared."
Right.
Or I ripped, but I didn't do tandem well, and nobody cared.
Right. Yeah.
We saw everything, and some of those dudes like super impressed. And I want them to continue. And I was very adamant about going to the pits and telling people that. Right. Like, hey, you should keep doing this. Do not stop. Because some of the dudes are like, oh, I don't feel like I did like I should. And I was like, the tandem will come. You have the mentality, you have the mindset. You listen to what we were saying, and you threw it down on your runs. You just need to work on a few things. Do not stop. Don't give up now. Please.
No, absolutely. We need more.
I was very adamant about that to a bunch of guys. It wasn't just one or two dudes. It was a bunch of dudes. And I tried to make the FaceTime with them and be like, come on, man. Stick with it. Kick all the ass.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what time is it? Got here. I was talking about the wheel, but I don't know if we're going to have time to do it. Because the thing is with the wheel of punishment, we want to punish somebody for the whole hour and something.
Yeah, we'll forget about
and there's
that.
There's not
Should
enough
have done it at the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, you know, these are things that you want. I mean, a punishment is punishment. It can't just be real quick. It's not like a spanking and you go away. No, we want you to suffer.
Right.
So we're not doing spankings. So
well, spankings. I'm gonna put spankings on there.
I can talk. So yeah, it's
it's okay.
What's going on? You would have had plenty of time for hot dogs in mouth. That's
21 wieners. That's would have been great.
Oh my god! I was hoping it would land on that if we did do it.
So I just wanted to, before we move along, that video that we watched of you explaining the run, that's going to be available on your channel.
Yeah, the link is live now. I posted it on my Officer Dan Facebook page. The title of it's called Jesus H. Because I don't want to have to do this. I just don't. It's taxing. It's stressful. LZ's people, I love you, but man, you guys are something else. I love LZ as much as you do, and we're good buds. Obviously, he gave me this shirt at my house.
Nice.
Name drop.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Watch out.
But we want Adam to win just as much as you do. I promise. Adam is great for drifting. I said it, and I got banned from so many dudes on FD's pages, it's not even funny.
Well, there's two ends of the spectrum, right? So you have the diehard fans, which is great because that's what you want. That's going to help bring people that probably wouldn't normally watch drifting to watch drifting, right? But then you have the people that see that and hate on it so much that it's just as much as those they love Adam, they hate Adam, right?
They do. There's definitely a fence.
It's crazy.
And it's a very tall fence. And you are on one side or you are on the other. There's no middle ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
but I absolutely, and I've said this from the beginning, and I will say it to the end of time, Adam is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to drifting.
Exactly. Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
So fans of LZ, take that how you will. He still lost.
He's still lost. Oh, that's funny.
But I love the guy, and I think he's fantastic. He's a great person. He brings a pit presence. He has, it's the whole package. It's what drifting has needed for a really long time to kind of have a spearhead of it.
Right.
And get so many new people involved, and that's unbelievable. And I can't appreciate him more for that. And it doesn't even affect me directly, but it kind of does, because then you have people that talk to me like, hey, was LZ at this event? Yeah, LZ came out to the event. Is he going to be at the next one? Probably not. But I'm glad you came out to the track because of him anyway. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. It's like, okay, we knew LZ did something in Albuquerque, and that,
Right.
it's crazy. It affects everybody in drifting. Like it's kind of unbelievable. I just don't like to be on the brunt end of that stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you still hosting events by some chance over back home?
Absolutely. I have not stopped hosting events since 2009.
Oh,
Wow, nice.
We had a full season last year. It was difficult. I had to go to city hall meetings. I had to meet with city planners. At No Coast last year, the city came out and tried to shut us down twice.
Wow.
But we followed the rules. We struck a deal with the city with all sorts of stipulations and rules and regulations, and I had to take everybody's money in advance, and I had to have everybody fill out these very specific forms, and everybody had to pit a space and a half apart. Everybody had to have masks on while they were in the pits anytime they didn't have a helmet on, and but the city let us run the event. No spectators, and it was actually one of the easiest events I've ever run because I didn't have to babysit meth heads trying to shoot each other. No Coast. It's a time.
Oh man.
But yeah, I haven't stopped. We had a full season last year, including No Coast, and I have a full season. We got 6 events this year plus No Coast, and I'm not stopping.
So where do they find these events at?
On Facebook, we have a group called Southwest Drift Social. So if you're anywhere in the Southwest, come hang out with us because we'd love to have you. We got a solid crew, like 25, 30 dudes, and we like to party really hard.
Reminds me of Jackson. Jackson likes to party really hard too.
Yeah.
Chris Jackson.
Yeah, Chris Jackson
And Jeff Jones.
and Jeff Jones. Yeah. They're
I believe me, I know. That's all I did at Formula D was party. I never got to drive, but I hung out like a mother.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris and I was telling him that that Wardhouse actually came out to Klutch Kickers.
They did. That was surprising.
Yeah.
I guess Peter might be joining the series.
Right. So I was telling Chris about that. He's like, "Oh yeah, me and Peter and James Dean, we got caught in the bushes drunk." I'm like, "Okay, must have been a good time."
I mean, Dean's Irish. I mean, what do you
Yeah, right.
I think Dean would be just as at home driving at No Coast as he would be in Pro 1 and top 3 battles, and he'd have just as much fun doing it. So, like, I love that those guys are like the top echelon of drifting.
And they're drunk in bushes. They're caught drunk in the bush.
The pass out under your truck kind of fun. I'm just saying. But yeah, so if you're in the Southwest, hit us up on Facebook. My YouTube channel's got some stuff from our New Mexico events. So if you wanted to see what a No Coast is all about, Jay Wood made some killer videos. They stopped at 3 and we're on 10, but I don't tell anybody. Check them out.
Absolutely.
I guess the only thing is that I could think of is like, what kind of changes do you have in mind to implement, or can you go over that, or do you want to just wait for the next event at the drivers meeting? Because one of the things that somebody mentioned too was that it would be a good idea for you to jump onto the live stream during practice or sometime before the competition starts.
He's like,
that was his idea. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, hey, can I jump on before qualifying starts? Please talk to the people, please.
Short-term memory loss. My apologies.
No, I want to do that. I want to be more involved, and I want to get you guys more involved. That was a big part of what I want to do for the next round, is somehow And see, it's really hard for us because there's so many drivers and so much time qualifying and so much time during battles that it's really hard for me to sit on the radio and be like, all right, well, we judge this one this way because of this and this and this and this and this. And meanwhile, the next run's going, and I'm like, oh, shit. Now I got to pay attention again. So it's really difficult because they're on a tight schedule, and we went straight from qualifying, straight to top 64, straight to top 32, straight to top 16. We had to, like, sprint to the bathroom and sprint back up to the booth, or otherwise we would have missed the run.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing about Klutch Kickers. There's no breaks, constant action.
I mean, I appreciate that. There's no downtime. There's no 4-hour break. It's just... It was in it to win it. Kind of like I asked dudes to accelerate down the straightaway. That was the entire event. Just balls to the wall, go for it. And that was good. But I don't know if we're going to have like a translator like I was for Will up in the booth where we can write stuff down and then they can relay that to you guys to talk to during the one more time decisions and when we're deliberating and when there's a 5-minute call or whatever, you guys could fill the dead air with what we were talking about. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we will make it happen.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome.
I like
that. Tim, anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I just definitely want people, if you haven't watched the Scotch and a Beer, it's definitely a lot of good information, especially if you're thinking about going pro. I mean, it really blew me away. That the Homestead one really blew me away. I'm like, I think I put a comment. I was like, more people need to see this. They really do. And I mean, I kind of already knew it.
I don't promote it. It's just like, if people want to watch it, somebody will tell them about it and be like, look, dude, I know you want to do pro, but watch these videos and at least take your time. Don't rush into it. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. I even took a year off, and I was like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. Yeah, sure, I sure did. But there's a lot of good tidbits. A lot of it's BSing around and the funny stories and the good stuff. But there's a lot of serious shit that went down that I wouldn't want any team or any driver to go through. Period. Right. So learn from my mistakes. If you do want to do pro, it's a fun series to just put on while you're wrenching on your car or where you're driving. That's the only time Brandon Wicknick watches my stuff is when he's driving across the country. He's like, when's the next one coming out? And I'm like, I got a road trip. Record it still. I haven't done any of that. I'm sorry, Brandon. Jesus.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Because he was there and he's in a lot of them, so he's like, I like to see myself on TV. I'm just kidding. He never said that. But yeah, thank you for the shout out. Thank you for the. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm not out there to push it, but if people want to watch it, it's an interesting time.
Yeah, but we all have to. And I was saying on the live stream that we really need. We got to come together, right? We got to help each other out. It really has to be a community, and it can't be all about me. What can everybody do for me, right? It's got to be that share. It's got to be the, hey, listen, we want everybody to go to you. You want everybody to go to us. We want everybody to get all the information, especially the drivers that are coming up to be able to see this and think about, hey, maybe you just want to build a seat time car, and for the next couple of years, just get behind the wheel of a low angle 350Z and just go at it for a couple of years,
and just learn.
Right.
I think and I'm going to say this, I think Alec would have done almost as well, if not better, in his 350Z than he did in his pro car.
Okay.
He said he felt more comfortable.
I watched him drive in practice, and that dude was making more smoke than 90% of the 500 horsepower cars.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he said he felt more comfortable.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, because he asked during his feedback session where he said, hey, where can I improve? Where can I get better? How is my line? Because he's a professional driver, but he still asks those questions.
Right.
And I said, dude, honestly, after watching, but this is before they fixed his issue in his car. I was like, honestly, you should drive the Z. I'm just going to say that. You will do better in the Z than your pro car. Put the pro car away and just focus on driving the Z.
So
he could have fixed it, and he threw down that run, and I was like, he's back.
Yeah. So you're saying if he would run the Z, he would have got first and second?
I did first, second, and third because they gave me so much money.
Yeah, you'd be dead.
I retired from drifting from that one paycheck from that.
Oh, lordy. Oh,
God bless.
I do want to highlight and mention that people in the chat are really thankful and grateful that you broke everything down. It went into detail with everything, and unfortunately, it's not really feasible for you to actually go to this extent every time.
I wish I could, but I'm not. I cannot edit videos like that. That took me way. I was like, I'll just. And then I had to Google how to pause the video, and then it's like everything that I wanted to do, I had to Google how to do it. So it just took
but now you got it down. So next one will be faster.
Oh, God. Please tell me there's not going to be a next one.
No, I'm not going to tell you that.
Will. There's going to be more drama.
There's been drama at every round, so get ready.
And I'm sure there will be, and I'm prepared for that. I'm not going to do that again. I don't think. I just wanted to be like, all right, we're paying attention. We're paying really close attention when we're judging. Mm-hmm. We had one lapse of judgment during this last event, but we overturned every petition that came through. And the drivers, for the most part, were like, okay, I get it now. Mm-hmm. So let that be. That's pretty good. I think 1 out of 5 is pretty good.
And not to mention, too, that the fee to protest is higher this year. So
it is $250 to protest, so we still had 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
People out there got deep pockets, I guess. I don't know.
We had 5.5. One of the guys came up and tried to petition without a petition.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, what I want to say is I wanted to thank you for coming by, and also I wanted to thank Uprooted Pictures for the videos that. Well, it's behind you, and also in your video
the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that's for. Oh,
yeah. Okay. So I wanted to mention that so he can get credit for that because the whole time it's been back there. So, but yeah, that's just me.
Cool. Dan, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and explaining everything you have done. Miracles. You have gone above and beyond the Call of Duty to make this happen, and we appreciate it. We hope the drivers appreciate it, and
I want them to. I
too.
want this to be a fun season. I like I said, we just want to get back to the gangster. That's all I want to see is the gangster. Yeah. Bring your gangster next time. That's it. Absolutely. It's easy. Just do it.
Okay. And also just want to remind folks to tune in for the live stream, the Klutch Kickers round 2 happening April 24th, right?
23rd.
April 24th,
sometime around then.
Somewhere around there. I think it's the Friday's
really
the 23rd.
Soon, it feels like.
Yeah, it will
Not
be.
prepared at all for that one.
This year is going to go by. This year is going to go by really fast. I mean, you have all your events that you're doing, and then you're going to be doing these. This year's
jam packed. This year, it's unbelievable.
It's going to fly by.
But it should be. Noel, can
it's
you
April
confirm,
24th.
please?
Yeah, April 24th. It's April 24th. I got it right here.
Okay.
24th and
The 25th. And
24th, 25th.
I'm sure the 23rd as well. So they're going to do Friday, 23rd.
Friday practice.
Yeah, Friday practice, 24th is Saturday, and 25th is Sunday. So the competition.
Yeah, but the live stream will be the 24th and the 25th.
Correct.
Yes.
Right.
So any information that anybody, current and potential drivers would like, go to the Klutch Kickers website. Make sure to visit their social media channels. And Dan, before you sign off, where can people follow you at?
Instagram, I'm going to be officer_Dan, because there's obviously another Officer Dan out there. It's probably a real officer. Not
I wonder how many death threats that guy got.
Dude's like, why are these people writing me?
The joke's on him.
Oh man, I feel sorry for that guy.
You should have been like, this is wrong. He's the wrong Officer Dan.
Yeah, it's the other Officer Dan, not the one with the underscore. Oh, no, I didn't even think about that. I should probably apologize to that dude. Yo, man, I'm so sorry. This was 100%.
Oh, I didn't think about that either.
So Instagram, Officer_Dan.
Man.
I don't really tweet much other than reposting Instagram, but that's Officer Dan_B. Not that matters. Just scratch that one.
Yeah.
And then my YouTube, it's funny because I made it before YouTube was owned by Google. And so I used my gaming screen name, which was I hate, EYEHATE. So it's YouTube, whatever user / I hate with EYEHATE. Or you could just search Officer Dan or GK Tech installs or whatever you want to do.
Scotch and a beer.
We're out there. Yeah, Scotch and a beer. I'm probably one of the only ones doing that. So I'd like to see other drivers pick up that. And I want to hear other dudes like me stories.
Yeah.
Like Corey Hosford or Nate Hamilton, or I want to hear everything from them. Nobody else is doing it, so I wish more dudes would get that out into the open. I want to hear it.
That would be super cool.
Good content.
Okay, Dan, thank you again. And folks, thank you for tuning in. And we'll have another episode 2 weeks from now. We hope to see you then. Good night.